So me and the man, we were watching the ultimately disturbing Johnny Depp movie, and it started to make the man get misty-eyed. Johnny Depp, God love him. I don't know how he could ever take this. This wasn't even like a Brokeback Mountain thing where a couple straight dudes have to kiss and slobber all over each other during the course of a movie. This was, in this movie, Johnny Depp, I'm just going to make a long story short, it ain't made to be supposed to be funny. Johnny Depp, he was a trainer. He worked for some law enforcement agency out in California. It was non-descriptive. It didn't say where he was, but it was in California for whatever reason. Johnny, he was a white cop. He was a trainee. I think they called him Sergeant Smarthy. He was kind of a good-looking guy. But his job was to train black guys how to beat up and be more vicious and hateful towards black people. So Johnny was a trainer, and he trained black, whatever you say, candidates, whatever you call cops when they're in the cop college getting ready to become cops, the academy. They had a class, and Johnny taught it. And in the class, they were taught, you gotta, and what Johnny would say stuff like, if everybody wants to give their brothers or the people that they're used to or they're accustomed to being around a break. But if you give people a break, we'll have a dual society situation. And Johnny was up front. He said, we already got that with the white people. White cops are already giving lots of breaks and lots of whatever to regular old white people. If black people start to do it to black people, we won't be getting enough, arrest records. We won't have enough people to put in the jails through the court system. We got to make sure we're feeding the beast. That's how we get a paycheck here, Johnny says to the class. He says, so in particular, we want to make sure that the black academy guys, the candidates, whatever you would call yourselves, young officers in training, you're going to have to, we got to make our money somewhere. It's like the old days, a used car salesman. In the movie, Johnny says to the guys, in the old day, a used car salesman would say to his neighbors, his friends, I got to make my money off you. I got to treat the out-of-towners. I can't cheat the out-of-towners or they'll never come back. You guys, you live right here, so we got to try to get what we can. I got to make my money off you. So you got to say to the relatives, the black people, the people that live in the ghettos, or not even ghettos, but black neighborhoods, the people who are just doing their thing, trying to live, having a great life. You got to, harvest so many of these people and give them the tickets, the whatever you say, the cop chases, the shootouts, the big things. We got to make our money. We got to process these people through the system. There's going to be some whites, some, Hispanics, Asians, but basically, obviously, we live kind of in a black area, so we're going to have to get a good amount of. And so what we're going to do is sometimes we're going to put people out there that are going to, whatever you would say, they're going to be impersonating, nefarious individuals. So you might pull over a black guy, and if you give him a break, he might be whatever you call the undercover. He might also be an officer of the law. He might be testing you or giving you an inspection to see if you're going to treat him the same way as you should or be even more hard-ass on him a little bit. You know what I mean? So in other words, we're going to be going over a situation why it's important that black people don't get caught up in this thing where they give black people a break or, treat black people even, really, what we got to say, fairly. It's got to be a little unfair. Now, are there any questions? These candidates in the movie, they start asking Johnny all these questions about, stuff like, this is like a horror movie. Who ever heard of such a thing? This is what you do. And Johnny would say, it's the system. And slowly but gradually, Johnny would answer each and every one of their questions. And somehow this big room full of young black men that slowly be turned to understand that, hey, if you want to get a paycheck, if you want to buy into the American system, if you want to, be part of it and have the good life, either you got to go get a different job or you got to learn how to arrest a lot of black people and rough them up and be kind of, actually kind of uncool and nasty to your own people. So this movie made the man feel sick to his stomach because they even got the things like, smacking people and ganging up and beating the crap out of people. And it was just really a horrifying thing. But the man, he looks over at me and he just shakes his head. And I finally was the one I said, why is it that they can get away with that? And then Johnny's character, to his credit, Johnny never wavered. Johnny was a hard ass prick, whatever, white supremacist, and he wasn't even a white supremacist. Johnny had, it showed him in the biop or the whatever you call it, the backstory. He had lots of different black friends. He hung out with a lot of black people because he kind of lived in a blackish neighborhood, and he worked with a lot of black people, and he liked black people. But his business was corralling them up, beating them up, harassing them, stopping them for no reason, giving them tickets, getting them in the court system, getting in the parole system, getting incarcerated. That was his job. You know, like I guess a farmer that raises pigs and cows or for whatever, and he kills them at the end of the season. It's like this was the kind of a thing where, hey, whatever, it's a kind of a gruesome way to make your living, but what else am I going to do? I got to pay my bills. And so they were in that kind of a thing. It was a horrifying movie. But the whole eerie question is, why is it, maybe, the whole thing that was what Johnny finally says to his class towards the end of graduation, getting near graduation, he says, the whole thing is in your heart, you're going to say, I got to give this guy a break. But what you got to do is tamp that down, smother that, kill that, just like you would kill a suckling pig for suckling pig season if you were a pig farmer, You got to earn yours. You got to do your job. You got to be well off. You got to do your thing. And so that was it was just a catch-22 all the way around. I didn't get it. And I finally I was like, gosh almighty, if Johnny doesn't start making some light comedies or some Romo-coms, I might swear off Johnny for a while. I need a break. Like, I need a psychological break from this kind of bullshit.